Thank you very much, Dr. Jesse, for that kind words. I see the audience are comparatively less. Probably it is because of the post-lunch session, but still, each and every participant's time, I would like to make it more precious and more useful. Whatever that I have done so far, Madam has highlighted already. I would like to just go through briefly how this biomedical engineering inspired me right from my school time. So actually electronics was my hobby during my high school time, and my biology teacher inspired me so that I decided to become a doctor. So I wanted to do biomedical engineering way back in 1978, but what happened was biomedical engineering was not available in my native place. So I thought I will do engineering separately and then do medicine separately. As I decided to do, I did both. I never lost interest. So after doing medical from Bangalore Medical College, I did my undergraduate from MBBS from Bangalore Medical College, a government college it is. And after that, I thought, let me continue with microbiology. I got a postgraduate diploma in microbiology. Then I didn't stop my medical career. I went to St. John's in Bangalore. Then I pursued MD Physiology, and then I served in St. John's for 18 years. That was a platform, my whole career changed. I became head of the biomedical engineering department to maintain the nutrition research lab, which was under Dr. Anurag Kurpad. He is one of the pioneers in nutrition. So throughout the country, he is one of the noted person. And I think some of you would have seen his name on the Guyton book also. He's one of the author. Mario was my guide. And under these two people guidelines, actually my whole life has been shaped to what I am today. And just to highlight few things I would like to say. Right now I'm not in Narayana Medical College, Nellore. I just shifted recently 3 months back to Bangalore, my native place. And I'm presently working as head of the department in MVJ Medical College. And the other achievements, what I can say is, which are missing, I would like to say, I'm proud to say those things. I have got 3 patents awarded in my name for medical instrument innovation from the Government of India. And these patents are for treatment modality, a new treatment modality for non-healing chronic diabetic ulcers. So 3rd phase clinical trial has been completed in St. John's Medical College, and the publication is already done. And we have found, as we all know, that hyperbaric oxygen treatment is one of the modality of treatment for the non-healing diabetic foot ulcers. So this warm oxygen therapy concept which I came out has healed the diabetic wound ulcers to a great extent, better than the hyperbaric oxygen treatment. We have done actually animal trials in diabetic ulcer model in Manipal, and we did normal human studies in Vaidehi Medical College, and clinical 3rd phase trial was done in St. John's. And right today in 5 cities in India, they are using the technology. And another thing which I contributed to the mankind was the identification of peripheral neuropathy in diabetic patients or any other neuropathy patients. A device called as NeuroTouch. I am part of the company for that device. It's a screening tool for early detection and diagnosis of peripheral neuropathy, and also to monitor the prognosis. So those who are interested, they can just Google these 2 terms, VELOX, VELOX, VELOX for the oxygen therapy technique, and NeuroTouch, NEUROTOUCH, NeuroTouch device for peripheral neuropathy screening. So these are my 2 contributions and achievements in the recent past, and this took almost 7 to 8 years for me to come out with a product. Yes, let me not waste my time. I'll move on with my topic of cost-effective instruments for basic physiology research, which many people struggle. Mostly the postgraduates or the staff members, they don't get funds to buy the instruments, or the institute doesn't support. So they will be struggling with the first part is, they get some ideas, but they don't have instruments. So they lose their interest to carry out the research. So this is where I'm trying to help the postgraduates and even the faculty members. I have helped majority of the students from Tamil Nadu as well as Andhra, and even in Kerala also. I have guided many PhD scholars from Thrissur and other parts of the country. Now, let us, just to keep in touch with you all, I would like to share my email ID. That is all small letters, dr.maruthy. I'll repeat again. All small letters, continuous, dr.maruthy@gmail.com. So not to lose the contact with all the participants here, I'll be very open and happy to interact with you before I proceed. So anytime you can contact me for any doubts, whatever that you have got during this workshop and my presentation. So let me go on to the history of the biophysics. It is way back. This is actually an amalgamation of different disciplines like medicine, biology, physics, electronics, engineering. So all these subjects amalgamation has come out with different disciplines. These are called rather super specialities in the combination of biology and engineering. So we have got different disciplines like bioengineering, biophysics, bioelectromagnetism, medical physics. They are all different subjects. I think it may be strange for you to know that this many subjects are there. Yes, now they have evolved very much, and these courses are offered throughout India in different cities. And medical engineering is different from medical electronics. The medical engineering deals with DNA, the genetic engineering. So there is always a confusion between medical engineering and biomedical engineering or medical electronics. So there are two different disciplines, because some of my students have got even confused also. When they went abroad, they thought it was biomedical engineering means instrumentation, and they landed up in a big trouble that it was totally an irrelevant course. So such things were happening in the past. Now there is more clarity what subject deals with what topics. Now, the discoveries which happened in biophysics, it goes with different principles. That is, principles of physics. First, law of thermodynamic, optical aspects of human eye, theory of hearing, Brownian motion, osmotic process, non-equilibrium thermodynamics. These words sound actually a little vague to a doctor, but these are the domains which they have understood and studied and implemented in medical instrumentation. So the last thing which I have put here is the X-ray. As you know, Röntgen, who discovered X-ray, he didn't know what to call that rays as, so he called it as X-rays. And today we know the importance of X-rays. We are not in a chemical mode of X-ray, we are in a digital era of X-rays. The recent sharing which I can tell you is the Kodak camera, or the old style camera which we used to use for Konica film, the size of that camera has become an X-ray machine today, a portable X-ray machine. So it is available now. In a bedroom we can take an X-ray. Just like an ordinary handheld camera, we can take an X-ray. So that is the technology advancement. If I have to give you an imagination for you, all of you have got your mobile phone in your hand. So the same mobile phone, if it was to be built 100 years back, that would have become the size of this whole hall. So that was the magnitude of size. Today it has been condensed and compressed and made miniaturized with so many features in a hand. It's more than a computer today. Okay? Because I'll be talking about ECG later on, so you will understand it better. Most of the medical instruments work on the conversion of the signals. What are these signals? Like in our skin, we have got thermal sensors, pain sensors, and touch sensors, vibration sensors. They're all biological. What do? They transduct the signal into an action potential. So that is the mode of communication to our brain. So these signals will be carried through the sensory neurons, and they'll be represented in the different areas of the brain, like how we have the homunculus representation. So this is an afferent input, and we appropriately respond. The only response what we have is muscle response, correct? Either we withdraw the hand if it is a dangerous signal, or we close our eye if it is a bright light, something like that. So we have an afferent and an efferent. So in technical terms, we categorize these sensors which we use are pressure transducer. Pressure is converted to electrical signal. Temperature is converted to electrical signal. All these parameters like flow, light intensity, position, acceleration, force, strain, everything is converted to electrical signal. Here in biology we say action potential. Here I say analog signal. That's the equivalent terminology. So then these, we call it as receptors here, and there we call it as transducers. That's the equivalent terminology. Finally, now we have moved on to, from the past 30 years, we are more into the, like right from 1991 onwards, the computers became very much of importance. Then the computers, which were so big, like they was to fill up a big table, and we were allowed to go only without slippers into the computer room with the AC room. Today, computers are on your hands. So the change in technology is so much. So finally, our biomedical signals, or the biological signals which are converted by transducers like this, they are actually converted to digital form, like how I mentioned about X-ray. X-ray is digitized, ultrasound is ultrasound scanning is digitized, and MRI scan is digitized, functional MRI is digitized. So now the digitization power is so powerful that I can give an example here. If you had a photograph in the past, 20 years back, you take a print, color print out. First print will come out so beautifully. You go for the next print, it is different. And third print, much worse. So that is analog printing. So the quality of the color or the picture quality will not be maintained. Coming to the digital technology, the same picture quality is maintained throughout without loss of the details. You take one digital picture, you send it anywhere across the world. You make 100 copies, still the quality of the signal is same. It doesn't change. So that is the power of digital technology. So all these biosignals. Now let us come to the biosignals. What are the biosignals? We have got, like, starting from action potential to that leads on to like ECG, EMG, EOG, and many other potentials we have. All these potentials, when they are digitized using digital technology, we have an excellent power of eliminating the unwanted signals, which we call it as digital filtering. So noise is a devil in biosignals. Why I say noise is a devil in biosignal is, if you want to record the EEG, it is in the order of microvolts. Microvolts is so small, by the time I record EEG, I won't know whether it is really EEG or some other signal. Say our projector is creating a lot of noise, and the fans are creating noise, ACs are creating noise, everything is creating electromagnetic noise. Even the mobile signals are creating noise, the TV towers are creating noise. All this will be of higher magnitude than our actual signal. They will interfere. I have to mention you that our human body is like a conductor. So we behave like antennas. So whenever we are, when I'm having a ECG device in front of me, which is connected to my body, the device picks up ECG plus the noise. So I have to take out the noise completely and only retain the ECG. So in this situation, digital filtering helps a lot. And that is a very, very powerful tool, so which we can use and get rid of the devil, or what we say noise, in the biosignal. So that is what I wanted to tell you. So this Galvani, Luigi Galvani was the first inventor. He found out that the frog legs, which were kept for, they were edible. Actually, these frog legs were edible at those days. Somehow by mistake, he touched those frog legs with two metal things, and the leg of the frog reacted. It gave a response. So he was wondering what is happening. So why did it give a twitch? So that made him to think more, and then he went further, and then he studied and he understood, yes, there is some link between electricity and the muscle of the living tissue. So that was the first step. Louis Galvani found out that a frog leg can give the battery kind of voltage. So what he meant was, like, there is some electrical activity in the dead muscle also. That's what he was trying to demonstrate. So which we say contact potential. Now moving on to the history of ECG, we are almost completed 98 years as on today. That is 1924. Today we are in 2022. So 1924, this was a mark year where this historical event happened. The first ECG was recorded on a dog called Jimmy. So this ITHO-1 recorded the ECG by immersing the human body into the saline buckets. That is, you can see on the right side here. The human is actually made to keep the limbs in the saline buckets or the containers, and the ECG, what he recorded with a heated galvanic string. That is, a ECG machine of old time used to have a heated filament, a heated writer, and it used to mark on a thermal paper. I think majority would have seen in the old time we had ECG machines which used to write on thermal paper. Today we get digital printout. So that is changed already. So this is actually a thermal string galvanometer, and the ECG pattern, what he recorded 100 years back, even today it is the same. So it has not changed much. And the device which he built is about 10 feet by 10 feet size. And the team of people who work to just record ECG is this many people in ITHO-1's lab. There are almost about 10 people who struggled to record the ECG. Not only he recorded ECG, he was able to transmit from the hospital to his lab through telephone lines. So communication of ECG signal, that is telemetry of medicine, that is transmitting the biosignal from the hospital to the lab, was possible even during his time through the telephone lines. Today we have modern ECG, the Holter model is there, Holter monitor, which can record for 24 hours ECG, and we can study the pattern, and they're all digital type now. They can store 24 hours ECG, and we can actually download through the computer, and then automatically the softwares will analyze where the rhythm is altered, where the problem has occurred, like whether the tachycardia has occurred, from what time to what time. So markers can be given to the patient. Whenever he has chest pain, he can give a mark, and then they can easily analyze without wasting much time to identify the problems. And on the mobile phone also, we can record ECG today, and we can, within seconds, we can email or we can push it to any other cardiologist or a consultant throughout the world through the internet service. So that is the power of getting second, third, or fifth opinion from any cardiologist within seconds. So that is the power, and the signal quality doesn't change. I already told in the beginning. So the ECG, what I send to somebody, it doesn't distort, it doesn't get distorted, it is the same signal. So without distortion, we can transmit or we can make multiple copies. This is about the electrocardiogram basic physics behind, and also the physiology behind. I will not tell much about it. The different components of the ECG, like when do we get positive wave, when do we get negative wave, all these things. So this is a cap which they put it on the head, on the scalp. So today, the 64 lead EEG is possible to record with a digital multiple channel recording. Definitely this kind of recording will cost about lakhs. The instrument cost will be about 10 lakhs. And digital filtering has reduced the cost factor. The digital filtering helps us to reduce the cost of the device as well as the quality of the signal. Both are achieved by digitization. This is just an imagination, and this is the type of electrodes what we can connect. Coming to the historical aspect of a stethoscope, if you see this 1816 also, the stethoscope which they were using was a simple tube, a wooden tube. And later on, in 1914, you see a modern stethoscope which is even today the same. There is no much change in the stethoscope design. It has got a bell and a diaphragm. And digital stethoscopes are available. I think you know that Littmann stands to be one of the leading company for stethoscope. The digital stethoscope of Littmann costs about 80,000 to 1.5 lakhs, which I have built in just about 2,000. So it is a very simple device which can be used for teaching purpose. I have used it during the COVID time for the undergraduate students. I have made all the 250 students of the Zoom participants to listen to the Korotkov sounds at the same time by showing them the mercury manometer on the camera. So they were all able to listen to the Korotkov sounds and type the message stating that what is a systolic, what is a diastolic. I could beautifully see that each student perceives in a different way. One student says 120 is the systolic, the other student says 118 is the systolic. So there is a lot of variation from person to person reading. This was a beautiful demonstration which I did twice on Zoom platform. So don't you think teaching becomes very easy and powerful if you have digital stethoscope? That was possible only because of a digital stethoscope which I built. Not only that, I could actually project on the screen like this the phonocardiogram, real-time phonocardiogram. So I could point out, this is the first wave, the first sound and the second sound. And they could correlate with the sound what they are listening. So they could easily make out which is the first sound and which is the second sound. So the understanding of the subject becomes more easy and more dynamic, and students develop more interest in such altered way of teaching and learning. And then we just move on to the concepts here. You know, the BAT way of detecting the objects made us to invent the ultrasound scanning. We can see the organs in the human body by just same principle as what the BAT is using to identify any pathology within the abdomen or within the structures of the body. Just to give a quote here, today's fiction can be a reality in the future. This is what Stephen Hawking quoted. We have seen with our own eyes. In my generation itself, I have seen. I used to see Bond movies, the Sean Connery movies, which I used to see during my 10th standard or 11th standard time. They used to show a watch with a camera. They used to show laser with a camera. Such things they were showing in the Bond movies. Today it is nothing. We have a telephone in the mobile phone and we have a camera in the phone, and things have become reality. So whatever we never thought, this tourism, that is space tourism, did we ever dream of a space tourism? So today it is reality. People can go like tour to the space. So that is the level. And flying cars, we have got flying cars. So this is all in the entertainment and the commercial aspect. So many developments are there. But we are unfortunate that much of technology is not being utilized in medical profession. The technology is so much advanced, but we are using only 10% of that in medical profession. Yet to improve a lot of medical devices, there is a huge opportunity, or there is a huge gap for the development of medical instruments in the medical profession for the mankind service. So this is one of the lacunae which is existing even today. In defense, in US and all, the soldiers are actually given this kind of a modern clothing by which they can actually track in real time how many steps they have walked and what is their ECG, what is their EMG, what is the angle of movement of their joints. All these things can be real time tracked with the GPS monitoring and all that. So this is a smart suit which they can use for patients who are critically ill. No need to connect wires, just make them wear a jacket and all the data is there on the central monitor without any wires. This is all like Bluetooth link technology, short distance wireless communication. So that is the extent how we can monitor the vital parameters. And strangely, this new concept came, but still it is not existing. They have tried giving electromagnetic wave stimulation of low frequency to the scalp by making a person wear a cap. They get brilliant ideas, like something very strange. Like people who are taking some drugs, no? Like most of the scientists who are taking drugs, during the under the influence of drugs, they used to get brilliant ideas and they used to write down, and they all became inventions. So similarly, when somebody wears this cap, they become like super thinkers. So that is called as thinking cap. So this came in a newspaper, but till now I have not seen anybody wearing such caps. Okay. This is about humanoid robots. This is another domain which has gone very much ahead in Japan. So in Japan, they are manufacturing humanoid robots. So they have given the name called not robots, they are called humanoid robots. They can do many more things. All this was possible only by understanding the functionality of the skeletal muscle. So they have come out with a synthetic polymer which exactly behaves like a muscle. So by giving an electrical stimulus, it will contract. So such polymers are used to make the eyeball movements and to create smiles on the face, and this is the extent how they can duplicate a human. So the one which you see on the left is the original personality, and the one which you see on the right side is the duplicate personality. They look identical and they can smile. and they can even reply back to your questions, and they can even giggle. When you actually put the hand under the arm, they can even do giggling, and they look more or less like humans. So you must be wondering, sir, why you are telling about this here in this platform? Yes, they are being used in our medical profession in the wards to serve the patients, particularly in psychiatry department. When the patient walks into the psychiatry department, this robot will actually invite, and it will say, hello, please come, sit down. So the patient feels extremely happy. Oh, somebody is there to care for me. So they will ask all the details. What do you want? To whom do you want to meet? So everything is possible. I think commercially you must have even heard there is a hotel, I don't know where exactly, maybe in China or in Singapore, a hotel run by only robots, no human intervention. The robots will come and take the orders and they will serve the food. So like that. So these humanoid robots are used commercially, also in medical profession in the wards, and to talk with the patients and console the patients. And if you see the interior of these humanoid robots, this is a complexity. So they have all machinery, which are working with the microcontrollers. And the scientist who is there is from the Osaka University, and he is the creator of this humanoid robots for the first time. Now coming to the biophysics part, again the radioactivity properties like Rontgen rays, they were all invented in 1895. And then radioactivity, I think Marie Curie, you must have heard about her without knowing that the radiation is hazardous. She died of leukemia. So Madame Curie, she invented radium and she died. And today such isotopes are being used in our medical profession for many diagnostic applications. And now we move on to the Edison. You must be knowing that Edison, Thomas Alva Edison, how much he struggled in his, I am actually a follower of Edison. Many things he has achieved in his life. He has got more than 1,000 patents. In my life, I could only get 3 patents. So just imagine how difficult it is to get a patent. So he struggled so badly during his childhood, and he was thrown out of the train. And day to day, he was struggling for food. And he was actually punished for many things what he had invented. He was punished actually. He developed a timer and he was punished for that. And his job also went off. So that is the story behind Thomas Alva Edison. The light which we all used today, the light which we were using incandescent lamps, it is all the invention of Thomas Alva Edison. And the sound recording which we enjoyed today and the video recording, they're all the advancements of Thomas Alva Edison. Sound, he proved that we can record and reproduce. The developments were image can be saved and it can be reproduced. So today, image and sound play a major role in our medical diagnostics. I think you all appreciate that. So that is the importance of sound and image. Just to highlight something in my invention, we all know that this was one of my PhD students' thesis. What I did is, I did dynamic pupillometry. You must be asking, what is this dynamic pupillometry? HRV, we know, we try to monitor the autonomic balance. But what is this dynamic pupillometry? We have got constrictors and dilators, pupillary constrictors and dilators. They are pure sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve supply. So we measured the constriction rate and the dilation rate by recording a infrared videography. So this was the thesis topic, and that thesis topic in the year 2021 received the Best Scientist Award. He was my student by name Shivakumar Reddy. So he was from Nellore, and he also got the Best Paper Award from Coimbatore for the national representation, and he had got several awards. So the concept here is our retinal cells, the rods and cones which we have, cannot perceive the infrared light. So if you shine the torch, the pupil will constrict. If I shine the infrared light torch, the pupil will not respond. So I could see a completely dilated pupil by illuminating with the infrared light, and I could capture it on a digital camera, and then I could analyze the rate of constriction and rate of dilation by image analysis, and that is one of the best tests. Within 10 seconds, I capture the data and I can analyze for the autonomic imbalance. So a lot of work we have done on diabetic patients, and we have published also in the last 2021. Nearly 16 papers we published on dynamic pupillometry. So this work was carried out in SRM, Porur Ramachandra Hospital. Okay, that was my recent work. And I think this slide, you must be wondering why this slide has come here. You must be questioning yourself, what is life? So at cellular level, I will say one definition. Whether you agree with me or not, I do not know. If the cell can maintain a resting membrane potential, I will say the cell is live. So if the resting membrane potential is not there, I can declare the cell is dead at cellular level, not at the organ level, not at the whole body level. At cellular level, as long as the cell membrane integrity is there, there is a difference in the ionic distribution and we get a resting membrane potential, whatever it is. It can be any cell, it can be nerve, muscle or epithelial or any other cell. There must be a resting membrane potential. If the membrane gets damaged, the resting membrane potential is gone. No longer we have ECF and ICF. You agree with me? So when the cell membrane is damaged, there is nothing called intracellular, extracellular. So that means it is equalized. The equilibrium is achieved. So the cell is dead. So that is the definition what I can tell about a liveness of a cell. That's why I got that slide. So history of discoveries, I think the DNA sequencing of human is already done today. And we are able to identify some genetic disorders. And information theory, this all comes under genetic engineering, statistical physics of biopolymers, and all these are little advanced things. So now I have already told this, I will skip this slide. So this is the spectrum under which the different wavelengths help us. Like we work with the different wavelengths of light. Like for example, you concentrate on the visible spectrum. This is the visible spectrum which varies from 400 nanometer to 650 nanometer. That is blue light to the red light. And anything smaller than this, we call it as infrared light. And here we have X-rays. And we are using these microwaves for mobile communication. Don't think these microwaves are actually safe and they are helping you a lot. But they are devils, micro devils, I will say. Mobile phone can create hazards in the medical profession in the future. And there are many, many cases coming out in the last 5 years. Now if the 5G comes, we don't know what is going to happen. With the 3G and 4G itself, we are landing up with many infertility cases. So that is proved, and there are many papers. And they say polycystic ovarian syndrome is also attributed to mobile phone usage. In medical students, they have done studies now. I think the time will speak out the truth. Okay? And this is the wavelengths what we use for radio and electricity. So these are the different wavelengths. They are all low frequencies. Low frequencies do not radiate for a long distance. And the higher frequencies, they are more dangerous. Like as you go to the right side, X-ray, gamma rays, cosmic rays, these are the dangerous waves for us, human. This is about the MRI scanning, functional MRI. So we can identify which part of the brain. These are all advanced techniques to identify which part of the brain is active by noting down the consumption of oxygen and the color MRI we can actually make out. And this is about the mobile phone. Again, I'm coming back. So whenever you keep the mobile phone near the ear, the temperature change in the brain tissue is about 0.2 degree. Repetitive insults can lead to cancer. Repetitive insults of the tissue can lead to cancer. So this is like a hidden devil, as I told you. In children, especially the penetration power through the scalp bone is much more. So similarly, don't think ultrasound is not safe. I mean, you don't think it is safe. If they do 3D and 4D scanning of the intra-abdominal for pregnant females, which has become a fashion abroad, it can actually raise the temperature of the fetus and it can cause damage to the fetal developing structures. So ultrasound, also 2D ultrasound is safe, but not 3D and 4D ultrasound scanning. So this is about the thermal imaging, again infrared imaging, to identify the cancerous tissues in early stage, in superficial tissues like breast cancer and also skin disorders. And we can identify the blood flow situation in the hands and legs, like any vascular disorders can be identified at superficial levels with thermal imaging. This thermal imaging concept was used during COVID time to monitor the body temperature. I think forehead thermometers were used for monitoring the body temperature. That was working with the principle of infrared light. And this is a scanning microscope, which can actually be used for turning the microscopic images all around 360 degree and understand how the surface of the organism or how the surface of the RBC looks like. So this is a scanning microscope. This is a pupillary dynamic pupillometry, what I was telling. The rate of constriction is this. The pupil becomes small. That is the diameter of the pupil, which has been shown here. This is the diagram which is showing normal and the abnormal constriction and dilation pattern of a diabetic patient. So this is how we got, within 10 seconds I capture the data, but I didn't have an auto-analyzing software, which is under the process still. And we processed manually, and then this was a PhD thesis which I recently guided. Camera. So the fastest camera, what we know, is like, say, thousands of frames per second, or you can say lakhs of frames per second. So scientifically, there is a camera now which they have invented, which can capture 10 million frames per second. So again, you must be asking, sir, what is the use of this camera to medical profession? Yes, we can do a lot of studies with this kind of camera by understanding the movement of the sodium, potassium, and calcium ions within the cell or outside the cell. They happen so quickly. Within no time, they move inside, outside, and action potentials are developed. Such studies can be taken up with this camera to see the ionic flux movements. So it helps in understanding some of the diseases. And there is another terahertz technology which has come into existence now. What is this terahertz technology? Supposing the baby is in neonatal ICU, we don't want to connect ECG machine and we don't want to connect the respiratory monitoring thing, which are vital. So we can monitor these things without touching the baby at a distance of 1 meter. Now there is something called electromagnetocardiogram. Magnetocardiogram. Has anybody heard about this word, magnetocardiogram? We know ECG, electrocardiogram. Magnetocardiogram is something based on the principle of nuclear magnetic resonance. So this particular technology will help us to capture the heart rate at a distance without touching the subject. So that technology is used in terahertz technology to monitor the heart rate and respiratory rate. This blue brain technology, you all know what is Bluetooth. Everybody knows what is Bluetooth. If I say blue brain technology, you will be wondering what is this blue brain technology. If a person is there live, I can actually connect EEG electrodes and I can download the pattern on which he behaves. This is called neural networking artificial intelligence detection. So if a live person is there, I'll ask him, what is your name? He will answer. That pattern of analysis of neuron to neuron communication is stored. And if I ask his mobile number or house address, all that information is stored in the computer, and a virtual brain is created in the system. And even with the demise of the person, I have a virtual brain of his. If I ask him a question, if I ask the computer, I can extract the mobile number, I can extract the name, and I can extract even ideas. Just imagine if we had this technology during the old scientists who are not there today, we could have got many more ideas from them through the virtual brain. So virtual brain is called the blue brain. This research is going on in Bangalore, actually with the Intel company. They are in the biomedical engineering department with artificial intelligence. They are carrying out this world's first virtual brain technology. Imagine if my brain is made virtual, whatever I'm talking today are the important things, or maybe the research ideas, they can take it out even after the demise also. It is possible. This is another thing which I guided for one of the inventor. This lady was actually a software engineer. She wanted to create a laughing chair for psychiatric patients. People who undergo depression, chronic depression, for years together they would have never smiled at anyone in the community. So she made a challenge. I will develop a chair wherein the person, when the patient sits on the chair, 100% I am going to make them laugh. So she created such a chair and they guaranteed that they are going to laugh. So all modalities of triggering was done, like stimulating in the armpits or showing some funny pictures or trickling in the feet. All these things, multi-modality triggerings were done and they were able to laugh. And after they laugh, they used to capture pictures and they used to show to the patient, see, you can also laugh like any other person. So they used to feel confident, oh, I can also laugh, I can also smile. So like that, they used to feel confident. So that was the purpose of this laughing chair. They were planning to put it in some shopping malls, but unfortunately, it has not come into existence even today. Many things, medical innovations, what they do, they perish at the beginning level. They don't come to the final level. So many get vanished. This was my first device, digital peak expiratory pressure monitoring device. Madam mentioned about it, she bought. The one which I gave was much advanced. This device, I left it in St. John's. This was the one which got me the Loschke Award, first German scientist award in the year 2000 when I was a postgraduate student. And this is another device which I built that is for tactile sensation. I'm just showing you the list of instruments. This is a camera which I connected to the microscope to capture the digital images of the RBCs. I could measure the RBC diameter within a minute. That was the power of this digital camera. Way back, I'm talking in 2000, year 2000, I presented this work in Lucknow conference in Association of Physiology, and nobody perceived it. I was so unfortunate. So I used this technology for some other applications later on. And even today, I'm using digital pictures. Today, everybody is taking digital pictures, even in pathology, microbiology, everywhere. We have got digital microscopes, correct? So they're all capturing images, and they take second opinion and all that. So this is the ECG module which I made, which is roughly the size of a home stick matchbox. So today, what I showed is much smaller than this, actually. This is the temperature threshold measuring device, which I will be showing you today. And this is another for the jaw power gnathodynamometer, which I helped for some of the dental students. And then this was the auditory and visual reaction time device. And this is a critical flicker fusion frequency device. All this you will be seeing physically today. And this is another ECG latest model. And this is a peak pressure monitoring device which I gave to Madam, I think so. This is the same device which I have kept the image of that. And Madam must be having this device with her. So with that only she completed the study also. This is a 100-pin dexterity model, which is a very simple tool to measure the psychomotor skill and to assess the fine motor skill also. You are all curious to learn. I hope so. Thank you for your patience. So with that, I complete my talk. If you have any doubts, please contact me. I'll be happy to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now I request Dr. Jesse John to hand over the memento to Dr. Maruthi KN. And I request Dr. Geeta Madam to hand over the memento to Dr. Jesse Ma'am. And I request Dr. Geeta Ma'am to hand over the memento to Dr. Banuar.